Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, a safe place for leading with your heart. Hey, thanks for being here. You, Me, Empathy is the official podcast of the Feely Human Collective, a collaborative mental health community designed to empower each of us to grow our capacity for empathy, vulnerability, and emotional wayfinding. Just a friendly reminder that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. No one is just a silly boy with a feely heart. You can support the show by leaving a review in Apple Podcasts, following us on social media at Yumi Empathy and Feely Human, and joining the Feely Human Collective community at feelyhuman.co. And now your host, Known Wells.
Hello, Feely Humans. Welcome to another episode of Yumi Empathy. My name is Known Wells, and this is episode 159 about shame as a weird amorphous force in our lives with my wonderful, sweetie pie, gentle, sensitive, anarchistic, punk rock, beautiful baby boy, Kye Plant of the Feelin' Weird podcast. Kye is... I feel like he's my brother. Kye is a wonderful, feely human, and I really, really loved this conversation. It's long, it's weird, it's deeply sensitive. I share an experience I've never shared on the podcast before. It gets really deep into what it means to be sensitive and feely as a man. We talk about fear of conflict, having tough love parents, why it's important to let the world know you're scared, and a lot of shame. We talk about shame a lot in this episode. I hope you enjoy it. I really enjoyed this conversation, even though I felt very rambly and all over the place in this conversation. But Kye was the perfect guest. He's just sweet and safe, and I could talk to him for hours. Hope you can listen to us for hours. Really loved this episode, and I hope you do too. It's really the perfect episode to start off 2021, because shame is a weird amorphous force in our lives, and maybe we're better off with letting shame go a little bit, or being a little bit introspective about it, looking at shame and how it's maybe shaping our lives. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hope you enjoy this episode. Before we get to it, I just wanted to say Happy New Year. It's 2021. It's a new year. I feel hopeful. My word for this year is bloom. And I got that I bought this new deck of cards, I guess. They're cards for emotional regulation called the Bloom Deck, written by Hillary McBride, former guest of the show, and Anna, who is at Anna, ANNA Parade, on Instagram. If you go to her Instagram, you can find out her Etsy page, and check out those Bloom decks. They're really, really cool. And, so Bloom is my word of 2021. I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling like I want to challenge myself in new ways this year. I've got big ideas, big passions. Now, the key is to not burn out. The key is to give myself boundaries. The key is to give myself love and care. That's always been my challenge. So I'm going to challenge that to myself and to you, dear listener. So think about that, and check out the Bloom Deck. Go to at Anna Parade on Instagram. Check that out. It's really beautiful. I also wanted to say that Feely Human and this podcast, Yumi Empathy, is on Patreon, patreon.com/feelyhuman. And shout out new Patreon supporter, Brooke. Thanks, Brooke. You're the best. I really appreciate it. Brooke is getting, at the $5 a month level. She gets an extra bonus episode of this podcast every month. And then we have $10 a month with Zoom hangs and others, and $15 and upwards from there. You get some various goodies by supporting me and the show on an ongoing basis. So check that out at patreon.com/feelyhuman. And thank you, new Patreon Brooke. Thank you, Brooke. You're the best. I also wanted to read a new review for You Me Empathy. One way you can support the show that's not a financial thing like Patreon is by leaving ratings and reviews in Apple Podcasts. It's free to do. It's easy, takes a couple minutes, and it really does help out the show. I'm going to read this new review from Catalyzing Change. It says, You Me Empathy is one of my go-to podcasts to listen openly without judgment on mental health challenges, and I've often found solace in the episodes. Almost every time. Oh, that's the best. I love that, Catalyzing Change. Thank you for leaving that wonderful review. Yeah, I mean, the show is about connecting us, right? The show is about empathy. It's about relating in our stories and our traumas and our brights and darks and all of it, So thank you for that wonderful review. If you would like to leave a review too, that would be wonderful. Just go to Apple Podcasts, search for You Me Empathy, and click on the review button there and leave a 5-star rating and review, or whatever feels good to your heart. That would be wonderful. Thank you. And that's about it. Thank you for listening to the show. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. At least here in the States, it feels good that a new president is going to be coming into our world. That feels good. That feels hopeful. Hope you're feeling hopeful about this year. Lots of work to be done. Lots of inner work. Lots of exterior work. External work is probably the better word. But feeling hopeful. Feeling glass half full. Thank you for being here. I love you. I hope you enjoyed this chat with Sweetie Pants, Kye Plant on shame as a weird amorphous force.
La la la, you, me, empathy, yeah, la la la.
Welcome to You Me Empathy, the official podcast of the Feely Human Collective. On this show, we explore the struggles, the triumphs, the brights, and the darks we face as humans trying to get by on this wondrous and overwhelming pale blue dot. The intent of You Me Empathy is to talk openly, without judgment, about our mental health, our neuroses, our shared anxieties and worries, to create a dialogue that is vulnerable and deeply human and empathetic, and to share that dialogue with others to inspire emotional and cognitive collaboration and insight, so we can, hand in hand, break down the stigma that make us feel shame and guilt for struggling, for feeling our feelings, for being feely humans. You Me Empathy is a safe, friendly space designed to inspire the beauty in each of us. Today, I'm feeling joyful and grateful and so fucking weird because I'm here with my brother from another country, podcaster, artist, and just real fucking weird, lovey-dovey-kins. It's Kye Plant. Hello, Kye.
Oh, man, I like that. That's the nicest.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Wow, that's just such a... That is... I have shivers just hearing you say that. I'm so glad that you read that. At first, when I was like, oh, okay, reading the intro, okay, well, what's this? But it's like, yeah, it like centered me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's everything that I'm like about. This is exactly it. This is the place I'm supposed to be right now. This is great.
Yeah, it's why I do it. I certainly could, I can like read the intro like by myself and have that as like a separate recording, and then but I don't know. There's something about it that it's like maybe it's ritual at this point, but it does feel. First of all, like just on a selfish level, it just reminds me of like why I'm doing this, and hopefully, as you're maybe pointing to a little bit, it helps the guests kind of get into that mindset a little bit too.
Yeah, I totally feel that. And what you said about like ritual too, I like that part of it also. Like that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. And it's just like so powerful because it's like what you just said is like it's oh yeah, that's why I'm here. That's everything I care about. That's thank you. Thank you for reminding me because I forget.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, the listeners, you should know that Kye is someone I met, I guess, online, over the last couple of years. And he has a wonderful podcast called Feelin' Weird that I've been a guest on a couple of times. And there's something about Kye, and I'm just talking to the listeners right now, that, it just like, I mentioned brother, but because I do feel that, like, I feel such a, even though we've never met in person, I feel just such a love for you. And it feels, I don't know, I don't have a lot of guy friends who can be as feely as me. And so whenever we talk, I'm always just so excited, and I feel just all of the feelings and all of the love. And so I'm just happy to be here.
That really resonates with me. That's like, there's so few, like historically speaking in my life, I've just like, I haven't had that connection with other men. It's like, that's why I've been such close friends with so many women. Like those have been predominantly my closest friends have been women. And I've just really lacked that in my life. And it's really, really nice to know, even if we never connected, just to know that you're out there. Cause it's like, okay, right. Like I'm not alone. Cause there's like a real kinship there. And it's so strange that like we have never met. We live in different countries. We've had different lives, but in the same way, we're also doing like a very similar thing. And it's really cool.
It is cool. Yeah. Well, Kye, we always kind of kick off the show with an emotional check-in. How has your week been? How are you feeling right now?
My week has been like kind of, I was just texting my friend about this, that there's a lot of joy in it and a lot of like creativity. Like I've started doing some new projects. Like I always have my hand in some new creative project. And so I'm learning some new ways of focusing my creative energy onto like a new medium. And that's been really exciting. And then also there's been like quite a lot of conflict with my partner, which feels challenging in the moment and also really rewarding like in the long term, because when we have conflict, we move through it. And then I feel closer with her afterwards. And likewise for her, but it's not easy in the moment. It can feel really, really scary when there's conflict. So there's been quite a bit of conflict even today, and it's really scary. Like I feel really scared of conflict, and as an adult, where I'm at now, like I'm really good at navigating conflict, and I actually like doing it. Like nonviolent communication is really important to me. And at the same time, like there's still that part of me that just wants to hide and wants to run. And even just connecting with that part right now, it's just like it's scared and there's big sadness there. So yeah, kind of like happy, joyful, and then also scared and sad.
I mean, you're speaking my language.
Yeah,
those are feelings I'm feeling, 24/7. I'm curious about the conflict piece of it, because I so relate to the wanting to, especially like when I was younger, like wanting to avoid conflict, because conflict meant I had to kind of face a thing, face the world in the way that I knew, which was like sensitivity and openness, but also, as we've talked about before, like when I did that, it was scary and it wasn't accepted. And any sort of conflict meant facing that scenario. Like, do you still feel that piece of it, like that sort of, related to family, childhood piece of it when you experience conflict nowadays?
Yeah. Do you mean, like, I just want to get clear on that. Are you referring to like, I guess like what it would have been like having conflict in my family of origin versus like now? Is that what you mean?
I guess I mean that. And I also mean just like just help me and the listeners understand a little bit about like when you face conflict now, like where are the, like, this is scary, this is hard, where are those emotions coming from, and where are they connected to past experiences that you've had that have been scary, or is it just simply because conflict is hard?
I think a bit of both. I think that even on my best days, conflict is still challenging. I think probably for everyone, conflict is challenging, but like I definitely bring with me a long history of growing up with a dad who was really scary and just walked away when he had had enough, and everything that he said was the law. And I got in trouble. I got spanked. I was met with like a lot of like tough love. And my mom commented on this recently when I was talking to her. She was like, yeah, I don't understand why we were harsh with you, because you really didn't need that. You've always been very sensitive. You've always been very like gentle. And I really don't think you needed the tough love or the corporal punishment. And so, yeah, I've just been met with a lot of scary conflict growing up. Like all growing up, it was like everything I would do anything to avoid conflict. And because I learned that it was so scary. My dad doesn't deal with conflict well. My mom doesn't deal with conflict well. So, naturally I come from, I came by it honestly. And so it's challenging. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Any way you answered it would have been wonderful. You don't have to. This isn't a show to like, here's a question I have, and you need to answer it in this way. Otherwise, I'm not going to be happy. It's just free flowing. That's wonderful, and I relate to that a lot. Conflict is it's a thing as an adult that I've come to. I think you use the word like not look forward to or cherish, but like it's certainly a thing that is part of life in a way, right? Because people change, people grow, people some people don't grow, and there can be conflict there, right? Like, people on different journeys and the conflict of that, those parallel lives, one going one way, one going another. There can be conflict there, right? And in my mind, it takes a great deal of inner work and grounding and figuring out like who we are. And the more we can do that and like love and accept and figure out who we are, I think the easier those scenarios are, because we're confident in that place. We're not necessarily going to be, we're open to whatever, right? That's the place I want to get to, is like, I am loving of self. I am confident in self. I am here now, and I can listen, and I can change, and I can, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And that's, that's like the utopian sort of like aspirational sort of place I want to be, but it's work. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you. It's like, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I really feel that kind of dichotomy, and maybe it's not even a dichotomy. Like maybe it's not, maybe it's actually connected more than I might think. Is that there is that part of me that's really calm and confident and like just stable and can get curious about what's coming up inside of my body or what's coming up between me and someone I'm in connection with. And then there's that other part that's like rooted in trauma and rooted in a lot of fear. And sometimes that part of me takes over, and then it's really hard to connect. It's really hard to listen. It's really hard to basically, because my body is doing everything to avoid the hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm running, and it's hard to make space for that when I'm stuck in it. So I think, like you said, it's the work. It's like, for me, it's the healing of like getting more in touch with that calm, confident part of myself, which is there. It's just in the moment, the story in my head is that it's not there. It'll never be there. I'll never feel safe. It can feel really scary.
Yeah, it can. And I think you said an important thing, which is the story. Because there's so much, it feels like most of the time, these stories are just the stories that we're holding on to and that we're telling ourselves, but they're not necessarily real, or they're not necessarily serving us, right? We're just holding on to them because we're used to them, or, these stories are tied to deep hurts and deep traumas, as you've mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I keep coming back to, like, I've been thinking about this writer, Byron Katie, who wrote this book called Loving What Is. And I've been reading her work and reading a lot of like quotes by her. And I don't know, there's something about her I like, because it's all about inquiry. So like, if I'm feeling a certain way, or if I'm feeling triggered by something, it's the first thing you do is you ask if it's true or not. Mm-hmm. And the goal of it is kind of to discern whether or not, like, how to discern between the feelings and our attachments to those feelings, right? And it's in the attachments where all of the, the sort of unexplored and unexamined childhood traumas that we hold on to, and the stories that we've been telling ourselves, even though we don't know we've been telling ourselves, all that stuff is wrapped up in that. I actually wrote down this quote I wanted to read because I just found it very powerful, and I think you will too. It's kind of long, so bear with me.
Okay.
It's from Byron Katie. She says, "You are who you believe you are. Other people are for you who you believe they are. They can be nothing more than that. If you realize that the mind is one, that everyone and everything is your own projection, including you would understand that it's only yourself you're ever dealing with. You would end up loving yourself, loving every thought you think. When you love every thought, you love everything that thought creates. You love the world you have created. At first, the love that overflows in you seems to be about connection with other people, and it's wonderful to feel intimately connected to every human being you meet. But then it becomes about mind connected to itself, and only that. The ultimate love is the mind's love of itself. Mind joins with mind, all of mind without division or separation. All of it is love. All of it loved. Ultimately, I am all I can know, and what I come to know is that there is no such thing as I." What do you think about that? What does that bring up in you?
Instantly, it's like this. This is kind of connected to what we talked about last time. Is that I've been dabbling with like cannabis recently, and then not in the way that I did before. Like there were points in my life where I've been addicted to cannabis. I'd be smoking weed every day, and now it's like maybe like once a month I'll eat a little bit of an edible and just kind of like go on a journey. And the last time I did that, I came to this point where I like realized that like, I was just having all these like realizations about like, myself and my connection with others, and this idea of like enlightenment versus like psychosis, or like heaven versus hell, and it's like really connected to this, like what you just read really reminds me of that, of like, I don't know if I can even put it into words, but it's like I really feel like what's behind that. And also at some point it's like almost a bit too much for my brain to understand, but like I can like feel it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. And I, thanks for indulging me and listening to me reading a quote on a podcast. But I don't know, for me, like it reminds me that, we are, like, the way that we interact with the world is the way that we interact with ourselves.
Yes.
So if we are projecting, if we are feeling maybe an anger or a frustration, it's coming from a place internally, that we can look at and adjust and think about, because I don't know, there's so much in the world right now that is so untethered and upsetting and just so feeling like out of control, right? And and the feelers out there and the senses of people like us, it's like, how do we fit into that and not feel so unanchored and untethered and scared and want to help, right? And like just feel the desire to like help and heal and love and stuff. And what Byron Katie reminds me of is like, that has to come from within. And there's so much within that we're still, I think I certainly am still working on.
I really feel like there's a bunch of things that you just said that just like sparked all of these, just like, I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about that. There's like so much in there that's like really connects with my heart, like especially talking about projection and when I'm feeling a big feeling. Like I said this to someone recently, and I don't know where the quote is generated from. I'm sure someone said it originally, but it's like, if it's hysterical, it's historical. And for me, when I feel a really big reaction, it's almost always rooted in something from the past. And that's like the same thing with my projections. When I'm feeling something big about someone, if I'm able to get in there and really like figure it out, really feel into it, it's almost always a projection that I'm putting something onto someone else that's really about me. And this is like coming back to like everything that I've been thinking lately, is that like, it's not about being good or bad, like being a good or a bad person. It's about like how I treat myself. Like if I treat myself with love, if I treat myself with compassion, if I treat myself with curiosity when something really big comes up, I'm very likely to do the same with someone else. Instead of like, if I'm treating myself really harshly, I'm going to treat other people really harshly.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, but then there's not, I question whether there's like that many people that want to hear that in the world. Like,
why do
I think
you say that?
Well, there's a story running in my head about how it's like people really want to point fingers and blame people and believe in bad and good people. And I think that's valid. It's just, that's not how my brain works. And it's like, for me, it's almost like a learning disability when it comes to, it's like, I can't wrap my head around that. It's almost like too overwhelming to believe that like there are bad and good people. And I don't know if you follow me on that, but it's like if that's true, then I can't handle the world or something. Like it's like I need to understand that everyone is good, and that the pain and the hurt comes from more pain and hurt. It's not because people are just bad. It's like I need that in a way to like create some kind of safety in the world for myself. And I recognize that that's like, it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I think that's like why a lot of people, find religion or different ways of understanding the world is like there's some kind of comfort in that belief system. And I think that I've just found this belief system that seems to work for me. And it's really hard for me to step outside of that. I really went on a tangent. Did you follow me on that?
I did, and I have many questions, but the first most pertinent question is, what is your religion? What is the religion of Kye? Is it?
I think it's like everyone has good inside of them, and like everyone deserves a chance, and it's really hard to practice. Like I was just talking to my partner. We were on a walk. I live in a really, really small town, and there's some people that I feel scared of, like especially like really like tough kind of blue collar guys. I feel kind of scared of that. And I was just commenting to her like, oh yeah, when I'm around those people, my whole philosophy goes out the window. I'm like, nope, those are just bad. Those are scary. And it's interesting because I think at the core, I really think that everyone everyone just wants the same thing. And people do really horrible and violent things, not necessarily because they're horrible and violent inside, but just because they've been hurt really, really badly. And they feel really scared. And I think that I am that person also.
Well, I think that's beautifully said. And that's where I was going to go, is that's because that's how I think about it, right? Like we're all one is how I look at it. We're all kind of one and the same. We have the same flaws, and we go through the ups and downs, and we all have, there's a spectrum of privilege at play, right? That's happening. When it comes to thinking about the world and good versus bad terms, like this is just language that has been thrust upon us, right? It's the language of capitalism. It's the language of, modern society. And it's not something that I really align with at all. And I don't think many people do necessarily. I think in my mind, it's trying to put a binary lens on a non-binary world, right?
Yeah.
Love can't be put into binary terms. It's all encompassing. It's everything, right? And when I think about people who do quote unquote bad things, I think about myself, right? I go back to me, like when have I done things that I have been regretful of, or have I done things that I don't like that are not steering toward love and steering toward the opposite of love, whatever. And I do that because it reminds me that like people are also struggling, right? People, I don't know what kind of things these people have gone through, or traumas, or what I don't know. I can't project to know that they're going through something and whatever, So like for me, it's yes, like there's things in the world that upset me, and I get upset too. At moments I'm just like, fuck those people. How could they do that? Like, why? But I think the practice of empathy is to try to put an empathetic lens on all people. Right? Everything. And that's hard. That's difficult. But I know for me, any amount of it's just not a useful practice to say like, okay, thinking about this person doing bad or good things. It's like, that's not a lens that's useful.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think going back to what we were talking about originally, it's like if I am to do that, then I'm also going to apply it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm applying good and bad to myself, chances are there's going to be a lot of shame attached to that. And the other part of my religion or my belief system really is shame is not productive. Shame is not helpful. So I want to do everything I can to let go of shame about myself. And in doing that, I also want to let go of myself shaming other people. And exactly what you were saying, I think in order to do that, I have to try and understand someone else. Because it's really easy to just be like, oh, that person sucks. Oh, that person's bad. They should be ashamed. It's really hard for me to try and understand why that person did that. It's like, because then I actually have to like listen to them. I have to try to understand them. That's really hard. That's like, that takes like energy.
The best type of energy. Yeah. And I don't ascribe necessarily to any religion, but I would serve at Kyenism's feet. I mean, I'm kind of being silly, but when you were saying that, it made me think about, I was raised in an environment that, was kind of evangelical Christian, and there's so much, I feel kind of, not great stuff in that. I'll put it that way. And one of the not great stuff about the way I was raised is that people who are in the LGBTQIA community are evil, right? They're sinners, right? And it's a choice, right? Like all this stuff. And I remember having a conversation, maybe a few years ago with my mother about that a little bit, and her response was, and I don't mean this to shame my mother. I bring it up because it's a good example of the kind of thing we're talking about. She basically said, it's not my job to judge. It's not my place. And in that statement is a turning away, is a inability and choice to not go down the path of learning to understand and be curious and be empathetic, right? It's coming from a place of like, yeah, well, if they don't, they're going to hell, right? And I don't need to sort of waste my energy on that. And I think that there's a lot of that exists, I think. And what I try to do, and I'm certainly not always successful, and it's what you're talking about, is we have to put in that energy of understanding, of empathy, for all people. And it's not always going to work out, but when we have, like, that's the stuff that is the stuff of life that I always want to go toward and not go away from.
That's interesting to hear that you grew up in an evangelical Christian home, because maybe you had told me that in the first conversations that we had, but I wasn't aware of that, at least in this moment. And that's so interesting because my family never identified as evangelical Christian, but we were devoutly religious and, church every Sunday until I graduated high school. And I would say that where I'm at now is in like direct opposition of like the way that I grew up. It's that I grew up being being brainwashed into believing that I was right. Everyone else was wrong. They're sinners. We're good. We have to convert them. They need to be changed. Everything that I learned was they're wrong. This is why we're right. This is why they're wrong. It's in my judgment, that's like the complete opposite of the way that I live now, or the way that in which I hope to live, which is trying to understand people and trying to understand why someone believes something or why someone has done something. And I it's interesting to hear that your mom said that, because I was just thinking as I heard that, I'm like, I mean, it's not my place to judge. That sounds exactly like a judgment. Like that's a really passive way of saying I am judging the shit out of someone.
Right.
Which is like, I don't know. That's everything I grew up in. And it was so profoundly damaging to me that like, I understand that my parents, in the same way that I need some kind of belief system in order to exist in the world, I think my parents need that too, and they found that in Christianity, and it helps them. It honestly brings them comfort. It's just that in the wake of that is like all of the pain and shame that it brought to me, which is not cool, and I'm not a fan of.
It's us versus them on one hand, and it's us on the other hand. Right?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, you know, at least certainly the religion I was raised in, it's exactly that. It's the us versus them. There's a lot of like, I'm right. There's righteousness, right, in it. There's you know, I'm doing good, this person's doing bad. It's the binary, right? It's like it's justification, it's defensiveness, it's not love. And so that's the us versus them. And then the us is the place that I try to be and you try to be, is like,
oh, I see. Yes.
It's all of us, right?
Right.
It's about trying to understand us. It's about trying to apply that love and empathy and connection all around. And but that the us versus them framework is a powerful one, and it exists, you know, not even just in religion. It exists in corporate America. It exists in capitalism. It exists in Little League, right? It's competition. It's capitalism. It's all these things. It exists everywhere, and it's a hard place to it's a hard thing to unlearn, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious for you, Kye, like, tell me a little bit about coming from that place, that framework, and trying to, like, what did that do to you as a kid? Like, how did that make you feel? And what kinds of experiences did that lead to, I guess?
I don't know if I'll ever be able to unpack all of the ways in which my religious upbringing has damaged me. But I think I can only say that it's just hurt me in so many ways. And it's interesting because I think I told my mom that a few years ago, and she was just so confused, because she's like, that's so weird. It's because that's just not my experience with it at all. And I don't know if that's because she's in complete denial of like how that's impacted her. But for me, it's like growing up, I would say that first of all, like, it's directly impacted like my sexuality and I think just my identity as like a sexual being, like just believing and being taught that I was so evil. Every sexual thought, every sexual like impulse was bad, was evil. I had to stop it. And so I spent so much energy as a young person just believing that I was so evil and like trying to change, and like, yeah, having like sexual encounters with like other boys when I was young, and then being like shamed, and then like spending, like I've talked about this before on some other podcasts, of just like trying to pray the memories away. And that's just like, I remember when I was like 24 or 25, I found this like album from the 70s called Free to Be You and Me. And it's just like all these songs by like hippie liberal parents directed at kids, and it's just the whole idea is just like it's okay to be whatever you are. It's okay to be a boy and cry. It's okay to be attracted to boys. It's okay to be attracted to girls. It's all okay. And I remember crying when I found that. It's like this kid's recording from the 70s, and it's just like, why wasn't I taught this? Like, why didn't I get this version of like humanity instead of like pray it away, pretend it'll go? Like, man, it's just so fucked up. Like, it still affects me so hard. Like, I'm still so impacted by that shame, and that's only like one way in which it's affected me. Like, there's so many ways
Yeah.
that I think I'll spend my entire life not like necessarily battling them, but just kind of slowly unpacking them. It's like, oh, right, okay, that there's that thing.
I relate to that. Yeah, I certainly had a lot of that, and you know, masturbation as a sin, and you're going to hell. You know, that kind of conversation. Certainly was a thing, and it has impacted my sexuality for sure. I haven't talked about this on the podcast, so I'm gonna open up now for you, Kye, because it's something that happened that I feel, I guess, shame about. And, you know, so when I was, I guess, I think I was around 10 or 11, maybe a bit younger. I was maybe 9, 10, around there. Anyways, I had a sexual encounter with an older boy who was maybe 14. He was like three plus years older than me or something like that. Like a friend of a family friend situation. And it, you know, I remember, I'm going to get graphic for a moment. I remember, him, penetrating me and feeling, and I don't remember how that came to be, but I just remember feeling immense levels of shame and guilt for doing that. And I, you know, and the way that I've sort of thought about it as an adult has been like, oh, you know, it was just, you know, it was just like a sexual encounter, and you know, there's just lots of weird feelings and shame wrapped up in it. And I think a part of that is that religious framework, is that upbringing. You know, a part of it is like, was I too young? Like, you know, what was going on here? Like, was I manipulated? Maybe, I don't know. But also like, hey, like, you know, do I have good feelings about the feeling of that experience, that sexual experience? Like, I don't know, but like, I just know that this person was also, you know, he's an out gay man now, and was raised in an environment like mine. And I feel so much for him, and having to be raised as someone who felt like they couldn't be who they are, right? And I felt the same growing up, right? So these two sensitive boys, you know, trying to figure it out, and you know, repressed in this framework of, you know, sexuality is not something you should talk about, or something you should feel, and you should feel shame. And so I just share that because it's you know, it's, sex is weird, and humans are weird, and you know, we already put so much on ourselves. Like, we don't need to allow the frameworks of a religion or something to make us feel more of that shame, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. I really, I feel you on that. It's like, I think it's hard enough to be a kid, and then adding all of that extra stuff onto it. It's just like, wow, I mean, just thinking back to myself and all of those things that I was struggling with and all that shame I was carrying is like, a kid doesn't need that. That's like too much. I don't think an adult even really need, like, it's just that shame is so toxic. It's so debilitating. And I guess like I really feel a lot of compassion for like younger you in that situation. I think especially because I know how much having similar situations like that like really impacted me because of like the way that I was raised. So I feel like a lot of tenderness towards you, especially in just sharing that. Like, I guess I just want to check in with like how you're feeling about that, because that's it sounds tender.
Yeah, thank you. I feel okay. I just wanted to share it because the shame that we hold is such an internal thing. And I want to tell you, Kye, I want to tell the listeners that, we don't need to hold on to it. Like letting go of shame is an act of love, and is an act of reclaiming ourselves in this world. And because shame should not exist. Shame is such a force for repression and heartache and hurt and pain and disruption, and the opposite of connection and the opposite of healing. And I don't know, the sooner we can figure out the tools of letting go of that shame, I think the better we are. And I've tried and have been working on sort of unpacking that particular shame and unlearning that particular shame. For you, Kye, like, I'm curious, when you think about the shame that you hold on to, do you ever come to a point where you can, because let me back up. Shame is like this, when we're not really thinking about it a lot, it can be this like weird amorphous force that is just hard to understand, right? It's like hard to really know what's going on. So like, have you in the work that you've been doing in your own mental health journey, like, have you been able to come to like specific points where you're like, okay, this is like a specific attribute of my shame, and I can let this go, or I can, dive deeper into this? Have you had some highlight or light bulb moments in that shame journey?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think like kind of going back to what I had said earlier is there are those, well, there's multiple parts, but there's kind of like a dichotomy of like these two parts of myself, which is like my true self, which I think is calm and confident. And there's this other part that's like just feels very insecure, very scared, very, very scared of so many things. And so it's like, I'm trying to check in now with like where I was going with that thought, because like I was just saying to my partner earlier, is that like I'll be talking about one thing and then my mind will be focused on something else, and then I'll totally forget. It could be the most important thing I ever said in the world, and I'll totally forget what I was saying. So I had a reason why I was going down that thought path, but I've lost it, and I know it's going to come back. So I'm just gonna.
Well, let's do this then.
It.
I'm curious about what. Let's start with like what you mentioned. You're scared of lots of things. What is one thing you're scared of?
Being abandoned. Yeah. That's probably one of the biggest ones.
Where do you think that comes from?
Um, Honestly, I don't know. I I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know where it comes from. It's just it's so big, and I think for me, I've just learned so many ways to pretend like I don't feel scared and pretend like everything's fine.
Mm.
In reality, I'm like losing my fucking shit so often. And I've learned how to detach from my emotions. And when I feel really scared, I look like I don't care. Like, so it's really hard for people to understand that I'm having a really hard time. And it's it's something that I've learned along the way, and it served me because of the environment that I grew up in, but it does not help anymore. And I think what I also wanted to say about the shame thing is that, like, I know I got on a tangent, but it feels really important to just identify that, like, oh, I know what I was going to say is there is this part of me that, like, understands what's going on and can get curious about what's happening inside of my body. And there's the other part that is totally lost in it. And until I met my last therapist, I really had no idea what shame was. You know, I understood the concept of it. I just didn't know even what it felt like.
Mm.
And so my work with her was learning to identify what it felt like in my body. And that was really the first kind of big building block that I learned with her, is like, oh, this giant throbbing kind of pressure in my head, that's shame. And I can feel it. Like, now I'm so in tune with it. I can feel it, like, right away. I say something and I'm like, oh, there's the pressure. Okay. Yep. Feeling shame about something I said. And so I think where I was going with that, what I was trying to say is that there is part of me that understands what's going on. Like, logically, I get it. And there's another part of me that just can't go there. Like, I can identify shame. And if I'm with my therapist, there's a way that I can let go of it. But when I'm by myself, it's really hard to let go of.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of me just holding on to the shame, and, like, I want to let go of it. Like, it's like, it's frustrating because there's, you know, I can be like a really good support person for, like, another person. It's just when I'm by myself, it's really hard to do it for myself, which I think connects to this idea that, like, healing is not a solo effort. I was just talking to a friend about this the other day, and he was saying, like, yeah, some people on their enlightenment quest, they just become, you know, monks, and they go live by themselves, and everything becomes very, like, individualistic. And I don't think that healing or enlightenment, whatever it is, like, I don't think that path is an individual path. I think it's connected. It has to be, because biologically I'm programmed to need other people. And to fight that is I think, to play into that insecurity of, like, people are unsafe. So, like, my healing is learning to feel safe in my body in connection with other people. Another tangent. Wow.
I love it.
I have so many things to say, and then I'll just be like, oh, okay, I got to say all these things. When really I think what's behind that is I feel scared that, probably, to answer that question again, is, like, I feel scared of being abandoned. Like, if I don't say the right thing, then people will think I'm dumb or won't like me. And so there's a lot of fear fueling my life. And it's so covert that sometimes it's very hard to even spot. Like, it might seem like I'm okay, but inside I'm just like, I feel so scared.
And that's okay, right?
Mm.
You know, you tell yourself that. I know you do. And you project that at times outward, you know, on your social media and whatnot. You say, hey, it's okay to feel all these feelings. And yeah, it's one thing saying it. It's another thing believing it, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I always go back to, like, we need to give ourselves more grace and kindness, because it is hard to be human. You know, it is.
Yeah.
it isn't easy, especially when you're a person who is feely and sensitive and feeling all the things all the time, and has a penchant for being that person for others. And, it's not always easy. And I so relate to the sort of the disconnect, or just like the different ways in which the emotional side of it is different from the intellectual understanding of it.
Mm-hmm.
We can intellectually like break things down, over and over again and look at it and all that stuff. But connecting that piece to the emotional thing is a whole nother, ball of yarn. That's is far more challenging for sure, because it does include the body. It does include, these childhood experiences and traumas, and just the lived experience of being human, that we just take on these layers of meaning, or non-meaning, just by the sheer fact that we're living, and sometimes we're taking it in and we don't even know it, and then it pops up as as a 39-year-old person who's telling themselves, I don't deserve love. Right. It's, but we have to remain curious, we have to remain kind to ourselves. Otherwise it's just going to be too hard.
Yeah. I think that, like, also, again, I think the healing is connected. It's like, in this moment, just being authentic about like where I'm at. It's like, yeah, I feel scared of a lot of things, and I think that gives someone else permission to feel scared, because that was not, like, I think I like lean into it even more now, because I think it's really important to let the world know that I feel scared, because I spent my entire life pretending that I wasn't feeling scared. And if I had just known that it was okay to feel scared, I think so much of my life would have been different. And especially as someone who was raised male, like, it was like so much stock was put in, like, act tough, don't show emotion. And so again, I think I'm like, a lot of where I'm at now is just in a rebellion of like what I was taught, what I was raised with, which is, I've learned all the ways that I can like harm myself, and the ways that I can end up in the psych ward 4 years in a row after trying to kill myself. Like, I really know how to do that. How do I learn to like let love in? How do I learn how to like let love for myself in? Like how can I love those parts of myself that I've tried to erase? Because I think that is really like where it's at. It's not in this intellectualization, which is wonderful, and I also love that, but it's like in actually just like that intense vulnerability of like, I feel like a little tiny kid that feels so scared and so vulnerable, and letting someone see that, like someone that's safe, letting someone see that, and letting them love me. It's like, it's so hard. Like, and that's like the understatement of the year. It's like, that is so hard. And I'll probably be healing those parts of myself for the rest of my life. Like, it's for whatever reason, I ended up in a body that feels terrified of people and terrified of like kindness and love. And so it's really important to me, like what you read at the beginning of the episode, that's like, in different words, that's my mission statement. It's so important to me to be talking about this, to be connecting with someone else that has, similar struggles and different struggles. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I of course share the same passion for the vulnerability piece of it and how that can connect us and heal us as a unit, as opposed to as these beacons of strength, right? I'm wondering for you, Kye, do you ever, so me as being a very sensitive person, you as being this very sensitive person, and also just the vulnerability of putting yourself out there, but also the maybe I'm just, so let me back up. I sometimes feel like vulnerability, and maybe this is a cynical part of me that I need to shed, but the vulnerability that can exist in the world and even in my own heart has kind of been romanticized in a way in my own head. I know that it's important. I know that it's integral because it can be healing for myself. It could be healing for others. But I also know that, it can be a tool of, not intentional hiding, but it can be a tool of hiding in a way. Like, cause I don't know, it's hard to really unwrap this, but there is a piece of vulnerability sometimes that feels like I am forgetting about the nuances of what's going on, and I'm focused on how what's going on connects with others, as opposed to, like, to go back to the Byron Katie piece of it, like it's about like the inside of me projecting outside. And I don't think any of this makes sense as I'm hearing myself talk.
Yeah, but it's okay. I want to follow you, and I think you can explain yourself. I have faith in you. I really want to understand what you're saying. So I want to follow you on this journey.
Do you ever feel like vulnerability and being sort of like these big feely people is a place that people or society romanticizes to a point that is a detriment?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like it could be so it's yeah, I think I understand like that. And I wonder if maybe we're talking about different things, like maybe, yeah, I think that I wonder if what you're saying is that maybe there is some types of vulnerability that aren't actually like, I don't know if healthy is the right word, but that's the only one that kind of comes to mind. Is that what you mean? Like maybe there's some danger involved in it?
I think that's a piece of it. So, and that piece is the intent of why I'm sharing, right? Maybe the intent of someone sharing is like, I'm going to get more likes. I'm going to get more friends, or whatever it may be. I'm not saying that exists necessarily. I think it does. So there's that piece of it. The other piece of it that maybe like I am trying to articulate on a personal level is, we've talked about before, Kye, as like trying to, like you talked about in this conversation, trying to kind of unlearn a lot of the things we learn, and you sharing is this kind of like FU to this, the way that you were taught before is not an FU, but it's like, I am going to not be scared of sharing, because like, I know that didn't serve me before, and this serves me now, and it also serves others, right? And that's a beautiful thing. And so there's this piece of it for me sometimes that it's like, am I... And we've also talked about, like, I am all over the place, but we've also talked about like being, also kind of punk rock kids, right? And like wanting, like having this like deep internal engine of like saying fuck you to the man and wanting to be anarchistic in some ways and bucking the system in some ways, right? And sometimes I like bring that into it, and it feels like, am I just doing this for others? Am I truly doing this for myself? Am I just following the trends of like what Instagram wants? Like I don't know. I'm like super sensitive to all of that. And I just want to, I guess, ultimately be true to myself and allow that truth to serve others, but it has to serve me first. And yeah, I don't know. I'm all over the place. I appreciate you listening.
I don't know if you've heard, but I'm also all over the place. So like, welcome to the party. I'm also enjoying it. I love following you down the thought trails. It feels very authentic to me, and I like that. Like, more than anything in the world, I love authenticity. So it's honestly very, very welcome. I want to say that I think that this ties into what we were talking about before this was recorded about, why am I doing this? Is that true? Does that connect?
I think it probably connects in some ways because ultimately, and I'd love to hear your take on this as someone in the same space. Like, ultimately, I want to make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
But I also like am so sensitive to the idea of like, okay, but why? But why?
Yeah.
But why? But why? Don't make this about your ego. No, this is not about you. Like, but why? But why? But why? So yeah, it's probably wrapped up in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like again, like, all I want is authenticity. All I want is like connection. And yeah, I wonder the same shit. Like, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, what's behind this? Like, is this healthy for me? Sometimes it's not. And then it's like, why am I just following? I've been thinking about that too. It's like, am I just doing this because I heard some cool podcast and I wanted to be like a part of that? Probably. Am I doing this because it helps others? Yes. Am I doing this because it helps me? Yes. But also, like, what about the ways in which it doesn't help me? What about the ways in which it harms me? And then, like, how do I run this thing? How do I do this kind of, like, I don't like the word work, but how do I do this kind of like
stuff?
How do I put my energy into this kind of thing in a way that feels fulfilling without feeling totally draining, because I'm so fucking sensitive to everything. And I think the reality for me is, like, I take very long breaks from Instagram. I don't run a podcast that is like economically successful. It's just, there are so many things that I just can't do and I just don't like doing. And so then I'm like, how do I do this in a way that feels authentic and honest? And then, like, is that even a podcast then, or should I just be doing something different? Like,
my perception of feeling weird and the stuff you put out and the way that you run the thing is, it feels immensely authentic and true and like honoring of your boundaries and stuff. And so I wanted to give you that. And I don't know if how that resonates with you, but it feels very self-honoring.
Thank you.
And I guess the reason why I say that is like, because I do see you take breaks, and I do see you use Patreon as a way to, like, get some money in your pocket, which is amazing. Like, the way that you do that, like, I'm kind of in awe of it. Like, because part of me sometimes, like, and we were talking about before we got recording, is like the sensitivity of around my show and feeling like I don't even know if people are, I mean, I know people are listening because I see like numbers and stuff, but like, like do people even care? And you know, and I, you know, I've like, there was a time where I did have a Patreon, but then I felt like so much guilt for not like doing it right and not putting really much bonus stuff out there. And so it's all just like insecurity. It's all just like, you know, maybe me comparing my sort of space with your space and the way you're doing it. And, you know, we just do that all the time. And I don't think I need to be doing that.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you're trying to build a community, you place so much value in like the feedback cycle and, oh, I haven't heard anyone mention this podcast or no one commented on the thing. And then you start going down this rabbit hole of like, they don't fucking care about me. Die, no, die.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
I mean, how, let's talk about for you.
I was kind of thinking that like at some point there's going to be the DSM is going to enter in like podcast host as a diagnosis.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, is the aim to be like, I'm proud of this thing I'm doing, I'm putting it out to the world, and you know, it doesn't matter. People listen to it, great. People don't listen to it, great. It's the fact that I'm doing it that matters.
Right. I think that's the goal, is to only be doing it because it's important to me. And there's something behind that is also connecting with others. Like if it's just about me, then I don't want to do it. But if I'll just keep it to myself, really. But if it's you know, I know that both of our shows, both of the things that we do are, you know, they're slightly different. They're also, you know, very similar. And I know that they help people. And at the same time, it's like a really weird position. I'll just speak for myself to put myself in, because it's like that, like someone just mentioned it a while ago and I hadn't heard that term, but that parasocial relationship.
Yep.
Which is, do you know about that?
Yeah. I had an episode on that.
Okay. So, so you know a lot more. Well, from what I understand, it's like, it's like, I wonder if I wonder how much harm I'm doing by doing this to myself. Like I don't think I'm doing any harm to the world. I would be surprised if there was any harm that was done, but I think that I'm doing harm to myself, and it's not because of the thing. It's not because of the podcast itself. It's because of maybe what I'm expecting out of it, or like the judgments that I have about myself when things don't. It's like all of the trauma that I'm bringing into it, just like, it's almost like an echo chamber of trauma sometimes, where it's like something will happen and then it'll spark that story that I've been carrying around with me since I was a kid, that like I suck and why do I do anything? So it's like, I don't know. I talk about this with my partner all the time, where it's like, you know, when those big feelings come up, I want to quit. I want to just throw in the towel. But it's like, if I don't learn how to have a healthy relationship with this, I'm going to carry this into every single fucking thing I do, because it affects all of the creative things that I do. Everything that I do, I have so much fun creating something. And then the next day I'm like, that sucked. That wasn't good enough. That, you know, look at the other person. They're doing something so much better. So I think what's behind it, for me at least, is like letting go of all those judgments about myself, letting go of the shame, which is kind of going back to the beginning of it. It's like, that's the shit that I carry with me everywhere I go. And I think the way of letting go of it is compassion for myself. And that's hard. That's like, talk about like heavy lifting or like hard work. That is so hard that most people won't even touch it in their entire lives.
Yeah. It makes me sad to know that is a hard thing for people, and it's a hard thing for you. And It's
Is
a
it
hard
hard for
thing for
you?
me. It's a hard thing for me for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It does make me sad because it's, you know, us sensitive helper types, you know, can give so much love to others,
Yeah.
and we can't turn that around. And we have it backwards. Like, we need to start first with ourselves.
Yeah.
But I also think it just takes time and effort. You know, it takes, like I said before, we've had all this lived experience that made us feel a way that is not authentic to ourselves, right? And so we're
Yeah.
now, you know, I'll be 40 next year. We're at a point where, hey, and I'll just take a edit point here for a second, because I said I'll be 40 next year, which is true, but there was judgment wrapped up in that statement, meaning like,
Right.
oh, I'm somehow behind the curve, or I'm like doing it slower than others. Who gives a shit? The reality
Yeah.
is that it's unlearning that I need to do. And yes, I need to respect the fact that, like, these experiences and your experiences, Kye, have impacted us, and they impact our identities, they impact our shame, all this stuff. But we can, just like we learned some way, we can learn another way. It just
Yeah.
takes time.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel that. It's like sometimes when I'm really lost in it, in all those stories and those judgments, it's like I'll never heal. Things will never get better. And that's scary. That's like so scary to be living in that. But it's just fundamentally like not true. Like, you know, neuroplasticity is like a scientific fact. Like, I can learn how to be gentle to myself. I can learn how to let love in.
Yep.
It's just, it's not easy. I just wish that this kind of like healing had just as much credibility as like people going to the gym and getting really big muscles. Cause I think it might even be harder. You know, I think it is harder because it's like, I can't even really put it into words. It's just, it's so fucking hard. It's like, like you said, I've spent my entire life learning how to not feel, learning how to be hard on myself, learning how to judge myself. And it takes unlearning that to heal, which is, I don't know. It's like,
Yeah, it does. And I, you know, I'm with you. I think the reason that, you know, it's easier for people to go and lift weights or whatever, you know, the physical versus the mental, it's just, again, we've had a history of people valuing that and not valuing the other. And the mental side of it is getting better, right? Like, we're finally coming around on that, right? And seeing the value in talking about this stuff, you know. And
yeah,
you know, in 100 years, it's going to be way better, right? And 100 years after that, it's going to be better. It's just like the natural progression of our culture and our society. And, you know, we're just in a time now where, yeah, there's still stigma, and, you know, lifting weights is a value for some, which is great.
Yeah.
And mental health is not, and that's not so great. But I think we're getting better every day. I try to remind myself as often as possible that all I have is now. It's easier said than done, but all I have is now, this moment, and whatever happens tomorrow, I don't know, like, what's going to happen, but what kind of changes, what kind of impact, what am I doing now to maybe make the world better tomorrow? Or not even that, make the world better now, in this moment, you know?
Yeah. Cause like, I mean, I feel you on that. Like, that's those are my same thoughts and kind of struggles. It's like, but like, what does better even mean, or what does it even look like?
Yes. Yeah, we should be questioning that.
Because yeah, there's kind of this story in my, like, I wonder if that's kind of connected to like this, like I'm not doing enough, or like that kind of like workaholism that I've been trying to unlearn is like,
yeah, what is enough?
Yeah, what if just like right now is enough, like, and that's good enough? And I kind of wonder if the people that have done this kind of healing work and have found compassion for themselves, and like, I think that that's a very quiet thing. It's not, you know, the opposite of that being, or maybe not the opposite, but like a parallel being like someone lifting weights and getting really, really jacked. That's something that people are kind of loud about for the most part. Whereas I think the healing, that kind of like emotional healing work is, from what I understand, I think it's really quiet when it's done. Like the people that I know that are really like solid and really like have done the journey, they're not Instagramming about it. They're not like talking to people about how they need to get there. It's like they're just, because there's like a confidence that comes with it, and it's not cocky, it's not like arrogant, it's not even ego based. It's like,
it's a self-acceptance and inner peace.
Yeah. So if that's happening, it's very quiet. So
it can't,
the loud things are the conflict. The loud things are the things that are probably unhealthy, but like the quiet things are, and I think that goes into like so much of what I, you know, because I am a quiet person. I don't generally don't take up a lot of space. And at the same time, like I've kind of constantly felt like I should be trying harder. I should be doing something different because I'm bad for, I don't know. There's just like so much stigma. I think, you know, maybe it's just myself directing it towards myself, but towards people that are kind of quiet, or people that are introspective, people that are doing that kind of like psychological heavy lifting or something. What are the quiet part? What's the quiet part inside of you? Like what, like the part that feels like calm and confident and like secure. Are you like in touch with that part?
I can be. I can be. I think when I am in touch with that part of myself, it's often when I'm feeling good about this type of work, you know, I or whatever I'm doing with the podcast, or writing, or you know, being hired by people to do, you know, empathy workshops or whatever it may be. Like that's kind of when I'm feeling the most connected and confident to myself, because it's what I love, right? You know, it's what I love. And I don't feel as kind of like, it's so funny because the other day, this week, actually, I had this moment with a colleague in my day job who I love. She's wonderful. I've always, it's so silly, but it's such a perfect example of me. Is like, I always sign off my emails with hugs. Like I've always done that. And I because I love hugs. Hugs are the best. And part of my job is like, I do some customer interaction, customer experience stuff. And I love doing that stuff because it makes me happy when I can support people. Right. And I always like sign off hugs. And so we're creating this new podcast in my day job. And I created these sort of email templates to kind of reach out to people. And I signed off with hugs, and she said, you know, hugs are, I think she said something along the lines of like, hugs are never sort of professional, or something along those lines. And the disclaimer is that I love this person. And I felt immediately very defensive. And And I felt like super sensitive and defensive. And I later wrote back to her. I said, like, well, who says that? Who says that? Like, and what is professional? And why is professionalism a value? Like, help me understand that, because there is so much in this life that it just goes back to like the binary thing that tells us this is the way to do things. And who says that's the case, right?
Yeah.
Like the way that we have existed as a culture is that, like, for the longest time, is that mental health is not something we talk about, right? But at a certain point, people started talking about it and saying, like, no, this isn't right. Like, the way that we've done things is not working, right? And I think like that's like part of the work that you're doing, right? And the part of the work that I'm doing is telling people that, like, hey, the way that we've done things is not working out. Like, we as dudes, don't need to be these strong beacons of strength who are crushing beer cans on our foreheads and not feeling our feelings. Like, we can be sensitive, feely people and still identify as male, right? Like, we can talk about mental health. Like, I think that is the radical work, right? That is the radical stuff that I think that we are doing, that I'm so proud of us for doing. And I feel like I bring that example up because, like, that is an example of the type of like inquiry and challenging of these systems that should be happening all the time. And I'm just so grateful that I have a platform that I can challenge those systems, on a weekly basis, and have these conversations and remind people listening that, hey, feel your feelings. Hey, talk about mental health. It's a wonderful thing to do for yourself and for your communities. And you don't need to feel shame about it. And you are brave and courageous for doing so. And, I'm telling my listeners as much as I am telling you, Kye, because, I need that reminder too, like we all need that reminder of saying, like, hey, like, we get so sensitive in our things, but like, we are doing wonderful things. We are being our anarchistic selves in a way, right? We're staying true to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah. That's like,
it's fuck the man who says you can't talk about mental health.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really like, I mean, that's, earlier I was like, oh, why am I just copying other podcasts? And it's like, well, yeah, sure. I'm sure that I'd be lying if I said that wasn't true. And also it's like, again, like in direct, I guess, rebuttal, or like, I don't know the word for it, but I'm going against what I was taught. It's exactly what you just said. It's like, I was taught never to talk about my feelings. I was taught to bury it all. I didn't know, I didn't get diagnosed with depression until I was like 28.
Yeah, same. I
went
like
to a doctor
30s.
In your 30s. Yeah. And that's probably most people who are experiencing depression, probably most men would never get diagnosed because they would never talk about it. They just end up probably killing themselves or drinking themselves to death. And when I was like 25, I went to a walk-in clinic because I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't even know what anxiety was. I was just in a state of complete panic. And the doctor was like, oh, this is anxiety. Like, here's some Ativan. Like, I was never taught what anything to do with mental health was. There was no understanding of it. So like, what I'm doing is like in direct rebuttal of everything that I was taught because it was so damaging to me. And I'm like, I don't want to live like that anymore.
Yeah.
So, but then I think like to kind of like add on to what you were saying is, like, I've spent about 6 months now not having like a job, and there's all sorts of reasons for that. But it's like, I don't really fit into like what you're talking about, like the professionalism. Like I don't fit into that world. I don't know how, like I spent so long feeling shame that I didn't fit into it and being like, why can't I? And so now I'm kind of in this place where I'm learning to just understand that I have boundaries, I have specific needs, and there are some things that I just can't do that other people do. And so when you're talking about that example with like the hugs, I'm like, yeah, that would be really hard for me. And that's not something that I personally really like could do. Like it's just too challenging for me. Like all I want is authentic connection, like direct communication. Like I can censor myself. I can small talk. It's just not something that I do. It doesn't feel rewarding. And so the reality is that like, I don't fit into the majority of society. And I've, spent so much of my life feeling shame about that. And now I'm kind of just being like, yeah, it's okay. It's like it's okay to not fit in, because I think to fit in is actually kind of fucked up. Because like, I don't often get on a tangent about capitalism, but like it's so dehumanizing. It's so like disconnected. And so it's like all of the things that I have a problem with in the podcast is like, I'm not doing enough marketing. I'm not like, and that kind of shit is fake to me. It's not authentic. Like authentic to me is like what we're talking about right now, like this connection. It's like not like trying to get more subscribers or like trying to get more people on Patreon. Like sure, those things are part of it, but it's like if I'm doing it for that, that's fucked. Like I don't want to.
Right. Yeah, it's yeah. No, I feel all of that. It's why you're doing it. It's the intent and it's the impact, and we always have to kind of keep going back and questioning that stuff, because you're right. It is, I can tell myself that like, hey, more listeners means more people engaging with these ideas, and that's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. But if I'm just focused on numbers or whatever it may be, and I think I'm pretty good about that boundary. But I feel you on like, and I'm so proud of you for, doing, going to therapy and healing that sort of inner child and being able to say like, hey, maybe I don't fit in, and that's okay. Like that is like a good place to be. And I so relate to it. I've had all sorts of different types of jobs because I need to work, we can't not afford to work. And most of those jobs I've been at for a year, maybe two tops, because ultimately like, I realized that like, this is gross, like this is not me. And thankfully I feel like super privileged and lucky to have a day job that allows me to like have a voice and allows me to challenge the system as often as I want. And it feels good. And I have a lot of flexibility, and that feels great. But it took a long time to get there. And ultimately it's not what I want to do, but it helps me do the things that I want to do now. But yeah, I think like that's such a valuable thing, Kye, is to like be able to say, hey, I don't want to do these things, or this isn't for me, or I don't fit into this place. Like that is knowing yourself. That is a self acceptance and knowing and honoring of yourself. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's just about, exactly. It's just like being true to what is true for me and not trying to be like other people. Is like letting myself be as authentically me as possible. And I think when that happens, I think other people win in that too. It's like what I said about when I say that I feel scared, it's like it gives other people permission to, it's like, oh, I can feel scared too. Or like, oh, I could maybe even say that I feel scared. It's like, I just want to see myself flourish into like the person that I am inside, and just like let go of those judgments about myself. And I also want to see other people do that. Because I think that so much of, like being raised in that religious environment, being raised in capitalism, being raised in like toxic masculinity, all of those things have had a profound effect on me. And I'm sure they've had a profound effect on you. And so it's like, to me, the antidote is like finding the parts that I've like thrown away, finding the parts that I've thought were bad, finding the parts that I thought weren't allowed to exist, and being like, oh, there you are. Thank God. You're pretty cool. Yeah. And just finding like the value in them, rather than being like, you don't fit into the rest of the world, you need to go away. Just being like, yeah, it's okay to be fucking weirdo. It's okay to like not know how to small talk. It's okay to like be confused by whatever. It's like, that's okay. It's like, I'm a little bit younger than you, but like it's taken me until I've gotten into like well into my 30s to like actually understand that like it's okay to just be me. It's like I don't have to be someone else. And that's like, I think it ties into like everything we've been talking about. It's just like, it's unlearning.
Yeah, it's okay to be you. Yeah. Yeah, it's an important lesson, and we all go at it at a different pace, and that's okay. And yeah, do you ever think about, I know we talked about like the importance of like the here and now, but you mentioned like your inability and sort of honoring of like not fitting in and wanting to just honor yourself, and as a result of that, like haven't necessarily been working necessarily. What is this the work that you want to do in life? Like, and I know you don't like the word work, but like, do you think about the future and like in terms of like how you're, I don't know, occupying your time and making money? Do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Like, I mean, it's like built into me to like worry about whether I'm doing enough, whether I'm good enough, whether I'm making enough. I had my own business up until like I moved to the East Coast, and the reason we moved is because my partner and I like bought a house, and land is very affordable on the East Coast of Canada. So like, part of why I'm not working is because I like outright own my house and I don't have to pay rent. And so for me, it's like I'm figuring out ways to make the world work for me, rather than trying to like fit into, because like the place that I moved from, houses, the cheapest house I could buy was like $700,000. I'm like, oh, well, I'll literally never own a house, because that's insane. So yeah, I mean, like, but going back to it, it's like, I mean, I wonder if I'm in this unique position where like I don't really need very much money to live anymore, which is very cool. Like, it's like very privileged position. And at the same time, like, I kind of think that this might be controversial, but I kind of think that people find meaning in that rat race, the whole struggle. It's like, what would your life be like if suddenly you didn't have to work a day job? You didn't have to save up to just like to live in a house. Like, what if you had a house? What if you didn't have to work a day job? Then what? Because like, in my experience, that's really fucking scary to just be like, okay, well, now what? Because like, I felt terrified of quitting my business and moving across the country.
Right.
It's the scariest times, or like the most like depressed I've been, is like when there wasn't work to be done, like from like a quote unquote day job. And so I think that there is like some kind of comfort in having someone or something to do. And like, if there's nothing to do,
it's
yeah,
distraction. Yeah.
but if there's nothing to do, then what? Because like,
Yeah.
for me, I think that's like my journey is finding how to be okay with myself just as myself. And it's really fucking hard. Like it sounds really privileged, and I understand that it is really privileged in a lot of ways. And at the same time, it's like, it doesn't mean it's easy. Like it's very hard. Like I have literally nothing that I have to be doing right now. And as a person who has struggled with depression and anxiety all of their life, like that's kind of the worst place that a person could be. And I had a friend that was like legitimately very worried about me doing this, but like, it's actually the greatest. Like I love it. And it doesn't mean that I'm never going to work again. It's just that like, I've had to reassess like what, like I worked a job that I fucking hated. Like I hated it. I had my business for 8 years. I hated it for 7. I only worked it because it was like good money, and I could make my own hours. But like, it was very unfulfilling working for rich people. Like it's so soul crushing. And so it's like, now I'm like, what brings me meaning? And so like that, I love the podcast. I love doing that. And at the same time, it's like, to answer that earlier question, is like, I don't think the podcast is like my be all end all. It's like, I like it. I love talking to people. I love talking to people, especially about this stuff. It's like so meaningful. And I love that people get something out of it. And at the same time, for me, I think I want to be doing something more like connected to human beings, like that potentially has less reach, but more like direct impact. Like I want to connect with people one-on-one, like in the way that you're talking about like customer service. Like,
yeah,
I think I need more of that. Like I need more direct connection in this kind of realm, I guess. Like, and I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's even a job, or if I have to start some kind of NGO. I don't know. Maybe it's something similar to like what you're doing, but I don't know. But it's like, I'm not worried about that. It's more just like trying to find like the things that bring me meaning outside of trying to make money, just in this blip in my life. Like I know that, talk to me in 2 years and maybe I'll be a CEO, but like probably not. But like maybe I'll have a job. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But it's like, it's fun riding this wave of just like, it's totally just like surrendering to like, okay, this is wild. Like, because I have such a fear of like letting go of control. So wow, that was, okay, there.
No, I love all of that. It's a really important lesson in kind of it's an important reminder of that the rat race, quote unquote rat race, can be for many a distraction, right? It can be a distraction from that inner stuff that we need to work on. It could be a distraction from it, right? Like, and that is the machinations of capitalism. That is the machinations of this. I mean, especially in American culture, this culture, if I had a choice, I wouldn't work a day job. I would I would seek enlightenment in everywhere, right? And seek that connection and that kind of thing. And a job, a day job, having the work, to get the house and like all of that, like these are all privileged questions, but it does make you think about like how it can be this distracting force from the real stuff that we should be doing, as opposed to the paychecks and the mortgages and all of that I think is weird and is a distraction, and I don't like it. Yeah. So I'm with you. We can talk for a billion hours, I'm sure, but I need to start
Sure.
wrapping it up.
Yeah.
I always love chatting with you because it's always such like a wayward adventure.
Yeah,
You know?
I feel that.
And I appreciate you being patient with my trying to think on the fly. So
Oh, I feel you.
yeah.
Me too.
We do always wrap up the show though talking about empathy heroes. You know, this could be someone in our life who is deeply empathetic, even characters from stories we love or movies we love. I'm going to go first to give you a moment to think about yours, Kye.
Cool.
My empathy hero this week is, so I am a big fantasy nerd, and I read, all the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit books and stuff when I was a kid, and reading for me was such an escape, and I loved it for that reason, and especially fantasy for me was as an escape from reality and all of that, and I've been rewatching the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies with a friend and my friend's 10-year-old son who's watching them for the first time, and which is just so fun, and it just reminds me of so Tolkien is my empathy hero because of the worlds he created. He made me feel so he made me want to be Frodo Baggins on these adventures. Like whenever I'm out like in nature and hiking or running or whatever, I think about those books and being out there, and I love the way he wrote. I love the way he wrote characters. His themes are obviously, a lot of parallels to, Christianity in some ways, but they're also just like these universal themes of, the good and evil and those sorts of things, which can be fun frameworks for storytelling and can be just reminders of hope and reminders of human resilience and friendship and community and, the importance of a second breakfast, for goodness sake. So Tolkien is my empathy hero this week. How about you?
I like that. Also very interesting because I just started reading the Silmarillion. How do you say that?
Silmarillion. Yeah, I can never pronounce it. Silmarillion. Yeah, don't even ask me.
I've been really trying to get into fantasy recently, and because I've read lots of different fantasy books, and I love the idea of it, but then for some reason I just get lost. I don't know. Anyway, so I tried to read that this week, and then I was just like, this is way over my head. But I tried. That's really cool, and I really like hearing that. There's three people that come to mind, and one's like, okay, well, that's like an obvious kind of like famous person. Maybe I'll let that go. One's like, okay, well, that, I don't know. Do I want to sound like really interesting, or do I just want to be like,
speak to what's on your heart? You can, and it doesn't need to be one person, just,
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind, which is kind of connected to the religious upbringing, was like my youth pastor in like high school. I haven't talked to him in years, but he was the first like adult male to actually like listen to me and like be curious about my life and my feelings and to be really honest and real with me. And I kind of feel like some tears in my eyes as I just think about him, because he had such a profound impact on me, and not in the like religious way. Like he also did that because I was very religious at the time, but more in just like that he provided an example for me that like life could be a little bit different than what I had been taught, and that like men could be a little bit different than what I had been taught. Not that he was like totally like touchy-feely, but he was at least very like authentic and honest and not afraid to like talk about things that were really important to him. And really, he was just so good at listening. And it's so weird that like the first person, the first like male adult to like really listen to me was not until I was like late in my teens. That's so strange. And I wish it had been my dad, but for whatever reason, it was my youth pastor. And he was just such a wonderful person. And I'm very grateful that he was in my life and that I met him because he's, yeah, just so great.
That's wonderful. Are you still in touch with him or?
No, I reached out to him like a year ago asking him if he'd be a guest on my podcast. And then I felt scared and then I just didn't respond. So maybe this is a good chance to reach out to him again and be like, hey, I really want to catch up with you because it's been literally 15 years. Wow.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Huh. What a weird world. How does time fly like that? It's like it didn't feel like I was going to be like, yeah, it's been like 3 years. Oh, wait, no. What?
When is what is what I like to say.
When is what?
Yeah.
Wait, what does it mean? When is what?
Yeah, it just means time is a construct and who knows when. I mean, it's because you're right. Like time goes fast, but it also goes slow and
yeah.
It's all for me, it's all just a reminder to be here now.
Which is so fitting because Be Here Now is on the coffee table behind me.
There you go. Ram Dass.
Yeah.
Well, Kye, where can the Feely humans out there connect with you and listen to Feelin' Weird and all that?
I don't know how they're going to connect with me. I don't know. At the moment, I'm like not responding to emails, not on social media.
That's okay.
But I think if you listen to this and you think, hey, I'd like to listen to this person talk at least for another couple minutes, you can listen to Feelin' Weird anywhere you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, whatever, all of those things. You can find me on Instagram at Feelin' Weird Pod. I make a lot of art and sometimes I post it there. Wow, I've never actually had to like plug a thing. This is, yeah, okay. I don't often do like I think this is maybe like the second podcast I've been on. So,
well, I can sense that you're uncomfortable with it, but own it because it's not. It isn't you saying like, hey, like, follow me here because, I want you to see my art and my podcast. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing because you're creating wonderful things, right? It's not, you're not part of the mechanism of capitalism in that sense. Like you are saying like, I'm creating this thing and I'm proud of it.
Yeah. Well, I guess the reality is that I'm not always proud of it. I'm creating this thing and sometimes I love it and then sometimes I get in my fucking head about it and I'm like, why am I doing this? Anyway, if you want to hear me rambling on, you can join me on Patreon or just listen to regular episodes. It's mostly me just like listening to people, which is very fun. I like doing that, but then I also like to talk. Okay. There's my plug.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being a guest on You Me Empathy, my friend.
It was such a pleasure. This was just so nice. And it was real. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Likewise. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, listeners, as I always say, I'm here, you're here, we're here together on this wayward, overwhelming, awe-inspiring pale blue dot. We have each other. It's You Me Empathy.